love YouTube. I started on the platform back in like 2008, I want to say, like when it was just starting off to promote a web hosting business. We put a lot of our tutorials on there, and it was our small family business. Because of YouTube, we were able to really help our clients in a really effective manner. Since then, I built communities off of the platform, and I do have quite a bit of experience doing it over the years, sometimes more successfully than others. How I grew as a YouTuber. And this is, like I said, I've been doing this for such a long time, but there was such magic in this, like this one little system, which it really worked. And how it worked was the ability to focus. There's distraction everywhere, but it's also when you're trying to grow and learn as a person doing it yourself. I homeschooled for 6 years, and so I find tremendous value in being able to shape your learning experience based off of your own interests and where you're at. I wanted to be able to do this on my own for that reason, so that I'd have more control over my own development, but also because I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a program or on mentors for building a channel that I wasn't sure if anyone was going to be interested in watching in the first place. So this is really, really cost effective, and it is also self-guided and really flexible. So I'm not going to share with you what you should be creating, but how you can organize your growth journey or process through the use of index cards. So there was a couple ways that these helped me focus. The first was that I was able to focus on one video concept at a time. You put the video idea on the card, you write notes on it, and you're shuffling this. So if for some reason, for example, if your kids get sick and you don't have time to focus on a video or space or the quiet to focus on a video, you shuffle it to the next week. So there's a system and a process for it, and it also allows you, like I said, to focus on one video concept at a time. But also, when you're trying to grow on YouTube, one of the things, especially if it's self-guided, you're not paying for a program. You're doing this on your own. I tend to go with somebody, a mentor or someone that, like a mentor or a guru, and go on to their channel and just watch their videos. Or maybe I find one person on a topic that I initially had a question for, or maybe it was this like broad subject to like how to get to 1,000 subscribers. Well, they're going to talk about so many different tactics in that one video, and so many of the gurus have the same tactics. So what this does is that you put the concept that you want to learn about, a really specific concept, on the card, and you assign a certain week that you're going to pay attention to that. You take notes on the card and you keep it within your card deck so that you can reference it later, kind of like using a flashcard. And so you're only working on one concept at a time instead of trying to learn everything all at once. Along with that, you're also setting a focused time frame. So you're saying, I'm going to do this in 12 weeks. Rather than a year, or just being kind of like, I'm going to be a better YouTuber. You're giving yourself a time frame, and that also allows you to schedule those learning opportunities within their videos. It allows you to schedule in evaluation time. So setting a specific time frame, 12 weeks. You could do 10 or whatever it is that you want, but I just follow the 12-week year. And it was so funny to just this was my second go around of doing it. And I noticed similar patterns in my second time as I did in my first, where I was focusing on growing my Etsy shop in the first one, becoming a better user of Etsy and understanding the shop more. Whereas in YouTube, I was doing something similar, but it was on YouTube. And I noticed both at the 6-week mark, some uncomfortableness when it came to growth. So it was kind of fun to see the patterns when you're doing that type of time frame. My third time, this is my health-oriented time, I'm noticing much more stickiness at the beginning of the journey. Maybe I'll find something else out about that at the 6-week mark, but I don't know. So you want to give yourself time, but not too much time. The other part of the 12 weeks to a better YouTuber is that you are evaluating yourself each week. You're evaluating your work and what it is that's contributing to that work. At the end of your week, you're looking at your analytics on that day. You're also staying accountable to yourself. One of the things that I kept telling myself is I wish I had a mentor, someone that I could work through these things with. But within the 12-week year, they do encourage you to stay accountable to yourself. So you have these weekly accountability meetings, and rather than relying on someone else to look over your shoulder to make sure you're doing things, you're really trying to work on yourself and finding ways to stay motivated and compelled to move forward in reaching your goals. I've done that through the card deck with those daily date dividers, writing down memories so you're constantly in your card deck, also using a vision board card and an affirmation card. And you can have multiple affirmation cards, but I have one that's focused on the goal. The vision board and the affirmation cards really just help you remember why it is that you're going through this. Even though you feel uncomfortable doing certain things, there's a bigger picture. So the 12 Weeks to a Better YouTuber is this index card system that uses the 12-week year layout along with the Sidetracked Home Executives concept of shuffling cards using index cards. Instead of using a planner where you would probably put checklists and things in it, having blank pages, things not crossed off, going week to week and feeling worse and worse about yourself, you're creating a system where there's just these single cards, you're shuffling them, and you're also only focusing on one item on your to-do list at a time rather than looking at a long list of things to do. Having this analog system is also really helping you because you're not going to be on your phone, on your computer, because as a YouTuber, you're already on your phone all the time. You're already behind a screen all the time. And so this is just giving you that space to get off and freedom to think, but not think too much because you only have a little card to figure the things out on. So now I'm going to walk you through the 12 Weeks to a Better YouTuber card deck in its entirety. You can purchase this from my shop, Time and Tide Plans, on Etsy in its entirety, where you just download it, print it out, cut it, and then organize it as we're chit-chatting. Or you can totally DIY this with index cards or just cutting up scrap pieces of paper so it could be as cost-effective as you want it to be. If you're going the route of my Etsy shop, there's 2 products that you'll need. The first one is the daily date dividers, which gives you all of these dividers. They're in 4x6 or 3x5 format. And the second product is the 12 Weeks to a Better YouTuber product, which again is available in a 3x5 and 4x6. And that's going to give you the card templates. Thank you to everyone who has supported my shop, Time and Tide Plans. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so grateful for all of you. So let's talk about what's on each of these cards. I've made videos about it before, so I'll link those below. But these are the date dividers. Within this system, you have the daily date dividers as well as monthly dividers, and then you have some miscellaneous dividers as well. So this is the backbone of any system. I've chatted with so many different people now about how they're using this card deck, and it's just so fun. So you can use it as a journal, you can use it for gratitude journaling, for doing the artist's way, I have a card deck all about fun, so like artist dates, that type of thing. You can use it for tracking your workouts, you can use it for Bible verses, verse of the day, you can use it for learning, you can use it for managing your household and cleaning things, or you can use it for becoming a better YouTuber, or all of the above, of course, as I do. So you've got your date dividers, you've got your monthly dividers. The date dividers go from 1 to 31. On the date dividers, I have space for the month. There's a little blank here and then some lines over here. So what this is doing is that each day on the 1st, these are going to be shuffled in front of the monthly dividers. So for example, let's go to March since it's going to be March soon. For March, I've already passed up February 1st. For March, you're going to have all of the dates that we have already gotten to in February shuffled in front of the month of March. In front of those dates are going to be the February divider and all of the dates that we haven't gotten to yet. So for example, these are not going to be totally correct, but the 21st and onward. As we finish with the 21st, what happens is that I write the year. So I'll write February 24, so 2024, and then a memory from that day, something that I want to remember when it comes to next February. I take those. I have a whole video about what I do with those memories, so I'll link it below. This is something that I really look forward to writing, and it brings me back to the card deck. You could have something like how many subscribers you had that day, if you really want to look into your analytics every day, or maybe a comment that really made your day. That gets shuffled over in front of the month of March then. So when it comes down to the 21st of March, you're going to see that then in front of March, and you'll be able then to write another memory, 2-4, and then the memory, and then shuffle it to the next month. So you're not creating these dividers, you're creating one set of dividers per year. Now everything in front of the date, any cards that go in front of there, So for example, today I'm making a community post. This is one of the cards that you'll have. That goes in front of the 21st, and that's the card that you'll focus on for that date. As you complete it, it's either going to be shuffled to the back where your 12-week year cards are going to live after they've been completed, or it's going to be shuffled to the next day if you didn't get to it, or the next week. Along with the dividers, you also have within the Just Date Dividers pack, you have these monthly calendars. So this is something that's been really effective within my own planning, is the ability to glance at this, because what it is that you're doing is shuffling weekly and daily assignments. So rather than looking at your phone and getting distracted, you have a quick glance of when dates are coming up. So for example, if Wednesdays you create community posts, or you focus on networking with other YouTubers, there's some cards here that I'll show you in a second. On Wednesday, and let's say you completed it yesterday on the 14th, you're going to shuffle it then to the next Wednesday, which is the 21st. That's quick glances. But then also, if you're becoming a better YouTuber, you're probably focused around holidays, things that are like tentpole type events. And so keeping track of holidays, whether it's, big holidays like Christmas, or it's small holidays like eat ice cream for breakfast day. That way you can create timely content too. I recently filled these all out for 2024, and it was a really cool experience, something I haven't done in the past. Usually I'll sit down at the beginning of every month and fill out holidays, but it's kind of nice knowing ahead of time, well in advance, when certain holidays are coming up. One other feature before I move on to the YouTuber card deck is these monthly dividers. So I have a dot grid on them, and this allows you, I've used these for holidays in the past. I've used these for doodles. I've used them for all sorts of things. But last October, I started doing my monthly reflection right on the divider. And it's actually been really awesome. It's all in one place. So I check my date dividers, go through to see what memories, what good things happen, so I can reflect back on the past month to see what worked and what didn't work. If you're using the Just Get Started card deck, there's a card that kind of walks you through that. You don't need to use the card. You can just kind of figure out what it is that you want to reflect on each month and make your own. And then so you write your monthly reflection. Once February's over, it gets shuffled behind January. So when you reach February 2025, you'll have that divider there that talks about what went well and what didn't go well that month. You can read it before planning out your month to kind of see if there's any type of patterns that you can avoid or improve upon, or that you'd like to repeat. I have some videos that show you that foundation and talk more about setting this up. I'll link below. So going into the 12 weeks to a better YouTuber, you have a few things. I have these for free too. The 12-week year planner cards. I call them planner cards. They're free. You download the PDF, print it out, cut it out, and they're blank cards. I have one right here you can see. So you just see 4, that's for week 4 out of 12. If you're buying the YouTuber set, it's a little bit more made up specifically, because this is exactly what I did with my planner cards for the 12-week year. So here you can see, this is what it looks like when you DIY it. It's a little bit more work because you're writing out everything rather than just having it printed out. And the 12 Weeks to a Better YouTuber product also has a Canva template. So if it's not exactly what you want it to be, you can edit it using Canva, which is a free application. If you're a YouTuber, it's a great resource to have. I'll walk you through. So you have 12 of these dividers, one for each week within the 12-week year. It says week 1 up here. And then below that is an affirmation. I wrote down the exact affirmation I used, which I thought was really effective. I have one in its full entirety here. And then when you get down to task cards or action cards, they're more succinct. So for this one, the affirmation is, my goal is to become a better YouTuber in 12 weeks by consistently learning, making videos, tracking, and implementing. If you don't want that to be your affirmation, again, go on Canva and make the change. So you have on this side, this week I am. Again, it's affirmative. Everything about the 12-week year is very action-oriented, where you're saying, I am doing it. This is what it's just like assuming that you're putting your feet to the ground. So you have on the side, this is a scorecard, by the way. So this is not something you're looking at every day. This is what you're using for the weekly accountability meeting at the end of the week. So under This Week I Am is capturing all of the action or task cards that are what you're doing to improve your YouTube game. So it's not a to-do list that you're referencing. Like I said, it's only something that you're looking at during that weekly accountability meeting. On the other side, you're looking at your YouTube, I call them level up, so it's a little bit more like fun. It's gamified a bit. You have your subscribers, watch hours, views, and click-through rate or CTR. I added views on because I was just focused on watch hours because I wasn't monetized, and you need 4,000 watch hours in order to become monetized. So I was really hyper-focused on watch hours versus views, but that's just silly because views are also important. You need views. You need people watching the video to begin with. I added that on there. Below that is 4 questions that I ask myself during every weekly accountability meeting. Did I learn? Did I make videos? Did I track and compare? And did I implement? So there was a couple times where I, at the end of the week, was like, did I really make videos? And so you have to be really honest with yourself with this card because it is easy to lie to yourself or make things so that you do better. But if you are actually trying to improve as a YouTuber, you have to be careful about that. One of the things that I wish I had done on my weekly accountability meeting, the scorecard divider, was to write down the answers to these questions on the back of the divider. So that's what I would do differently this time, is write down exactly what those answers were. So as there's a number of opportunities for you to evaluate yourself, you can look back just in this one place and see what was going on. So I have that for each week. So you have 12 weeks of this. They're in a rounded divider. This is something I started doing back in 2020. I made my card dividers rounded because it was just, I keep them in a bag for when I'm out on the go, and it doesn't make that fold over that when they're square. And then plan. This is at the very back of your card deck. So again, I have a lot of videos that show you how to set this up. The plan divider, like I said, would be at the back of the Just Date divider. And as you finish each week, the scorecard along with the task cards that were completed or ones that you decided you're not going to actually do, they get shuffled to the back of your Just Date divider. So back of all of your weekly dividers too, with all of the stuff, and it goes in front of the plan divider. I know it sounds so complicated, but I promise once you start doing it, you won't even think about it. It makes sense. So you've got those weekly dividers. These are going to be scheduled, again, going back to that monthly card. So what you do with the weekly dividers is at the beginning of your 12 weeks to a better YouTuber journey, you're going to highlight all of the weeks that are in your journey. So let's say that you started back on January 7th, you're going to highlight the 7th, 14th, 21, 28, and you'll also highlight the end of your week, which would be, for my case, 13, 20, and 27. I do a Sunday start, it would end on a Saturday. That means my weekly accountability meetings are on that date, and then I would start on the Sundays. And that just gives me kind of an idea of where to put these weekly dividers. So week 1, for example, if I'm starting on the 7th, would be behind the 13th divider. As I complete task cards, they then go in front of the week 1 divider, which is behind the 13. My husband just got back from his paddle during his lunch break, so he's going to be in the background for a bit. I just want to finish this so I can share it with you. We live on a boat, so he just jumped on to our port side, and it kind of pulls the boat that way a bit, and it's also covering our portholes when he's walking back and forth. So anyway, going into the task cards, this is where we'll finish up. And if you have specific questions, let me know, and I'm happy to walk you through it or reference those videos where I show you how to set up the 12-week year. So the task cards are already done for you within the YouTube pack. And when I initially set up my 12-week year, what I did was I went on to ChatGPT. So this is something you could do too, just as easily as I did it. I let the ChatGPT know exactly how many subscribers I had and what my goal was, and then asked it to create. I took all of those tasks that ChatGPT gave me and I put them onto cards without really thinking about it, and just was like, these are super generic anyway. I'm just going to work them. And there was some, as a small YouTuber, that I did not find were relatable. just yet. So I didn't, like, there's things about collaborating with other YouTubers, which I think would be great, but at the time I didn't really have anything to offer another YouTuber when it came to a collaboration. And plus I was still trying to figure out what type of audience and content it was that I really wanted to focus on. So that wouldn't be fair to go and collaborate with another YouTuber if I was still trying to work things out myself. So anyway, there are certain tasks like that I just skipped. And then there's also things that I had already known. So I didn't include like how to use Premiere Pro and how to set up a camera, that type of thing. So those are all things that you might want to consider adding. But I assume if you want to become a YouTuber that you've already you're using your phone like I'm doing now. There's also a few things around story that I included as far as the task cards go. One of my favorite things that I focused on was story, and it wasn't related to becoming a better YouTuber. It was related to NaNoWriMo and writing, was learning story arc and figuring out how to hook people quickly. So that's a few additional cards that I added onto the task cards. So these are all learn cards. You can see there's learn over on the corner. On the top left, the affirmation is shortened into I'm becoming a better YouTuber. There's again an affirmative, today I am using captions and shorts. So I would learn how to best incorporate captions and shorts and then take notes on it over on the right hand side. Just going over a few. Within the 12 weeks to a better YouTuber product, I have these all organized into the order that I would focus on them. These are a little mixed up at the present. Learning about story structure, creating an effective hook. So what I did for each one of these then was take the task. When it came to learning, I then went over to YouTube and searched for these specific topics. Like I said, there's certain gurus that will create these broad video topics or titles, and then you'll find little gems within them about how to create an effective hook. Certain people will put things out that are specific around that, but you do have to search a bit. Also doing a quick Google search, asking ChatGPT more. Those are all ways that I did it. Also just trying things out and noting how it went. But the important thing is that you're keeping all of these task cards and placing them in front of the weekly dividers, which goes at the back of your card deck, so that at the very end you can review all of them. One of the nice things about this too is that I think it is something that we should constantly be cycling through. So once they're completed doesn't mean that you're done with learning about them, because for one, YouTube is always changing, but also we're becoming more clear on what it is that we're creating, how we're creating it, and who it's for. So it's definitely worth going through the 12-week system over again when it's been completed, which is what I'll be doing as well. So this is a big part of the program, and what was effective for me was breaking things down and focusing on one specific thing rather than just looking at this broad, I need to reach 1,000 subscribers, or I need to become a better storyteller, or I need just like, it's making things a little bit more focused and not all at once. And then you have these weekly cards and daily cards for just making sure that you're keeping on top of your channel, and you can add more to them, but I try to keep it as simple as possible as tasks that do not reflect this like weekly video cards or the learn cards. These are things that are all on their own. So for example, brainstorming content ideas, I have set that up as something I do weekly versus something I do daily. ChatGPT said to do it daily, and it's just, you could do it daily, but I think it's more effective to do it once a week. Writing down all of your ideas, and then also spending time to look things up too and what's trending around your niche. Another weekly card is reviewing analytics. That goes along with the weekly accountability meeting. So if you're not running a 12-week year, you can still use that within your card deck. Engaging on social media, being really specific about it when it comes to doing it for your channel versus just for personal use. You're going in with a certain goal and going on to Instagram or any other platform to promote your video in a way that's effective and not just sharing a link. Promoting yourself, this is one of the ones that I have the hardest time with, doing it daily rather than just once a week. I think that's hard. So I really like having a card that I'm just reminding myself you need to share what it is that you're doing with others. Networking with other creators. So I initially looked at this and thought that looks like a high five, but now that I look at it again, it kind of looks like the prayer emoji. So it doesn't mean that you're supposed to be begging other creators, but you're like collaborating with them. So reaching out to potential collaborators, influencers, or other YouTubers in your niche every day and building relationships with them. Sometimes that could be just trying to find them too on YouTube. You have these cards, there's only one that you're going to print out and shuffle all the time. You're not going to print out 12 of these to do each week. These get shuffled. So say you're going to network daily, you do it on Monday, it gets shuffled to the next day. Sidetracked Home Executives has a system where it's a 3-strike, you're out type of a rule where you set a certain amount of times you're allowed to skip something and then you absolutely have to do it no matter what. So you can play games with yourself with that too. Apart from, so you have your learn cards, you have your daily and weekly cards that are just shuffled along. Another one that's more of a one-time use is the post, video, and short cards. And this is just giving you space to write down the title, the concept of the video, and then any notes around it or tasks that you're doing all on one card. So you're only focusing on one piece of content at a time. Initially, what I did was print out a card for every single video idea that I had. That was actually pretty effective because I could kind of play with each one, and as I got ideas, I wrote down notes on them. I could also spread it out onto a table too and be able to batch certain videos with other videos. So I could say this is one topic and this is going to be a video that's branched off of that, and then place it along with the weekly dividers, which was just a very visual, helpful way. But at the end of the day, I made so many changes on what it was that I was creating as I went. So I think it's still effective to do that initially, but just be aware that you're going to make changes as you go. And the nice thing about this is that it's not an expensive planner where it's all, binded in or with expensive paper. You're using just plain printer paper or index cards or just scrap paper that you've created. There's a couple other things that are just really simple. You have blank, dot grid, and graph cards too that you've just are hanging out in your card deck that you can take notes on. So they're just like random notes or things that you want to just maybe affirmations or things that you're pulling out of a book that you want to remind yourself of. You can hold those in a learn divider or just shuffle through them as well. Or if you're feeling really overwhelmed, one of the things that is helpful sometimes is to pull out a blank divider and make a top 3 list of things that you want to make sure that you're prioritizing throughout the day, or maybe a list of like little things that you need to work through. So for example, sometimes for me it's helpful to be able to write down, this is like, if I'm being really honest, it's usually after the fact. If I'm sitting down and I'm editing and I know I need to color grade, I need to do audio, I need to do all these different things, I'll sometimes write down the long list of post-production work that I need to get taken care of, and I'll cross off all the things that I've already done. It makes me feel a little bit better, but it also gives me that momentum to finish out the list. Wrapping things up, you have your date dividers along with the 12 Weeks to a Better YouTuber product. You mush those together into a becoming a better YouTuber organizing system for yourself. Something that's transportable, it's tangible, it's something that it's very visual, you can put it out on a wall, on a table, and look through it. If you miss something or if you change your mind, it's really easy to just make those edits. It's flexible. So I hope you give it a try and let me know if you have questions